Rockies got from an unlikely source?
This would be an unlikely source. Murphy drives it right field, hits it deep. Gonzalez back. It is gone. Ball game.
An unlikely source.
And the Marlins walk off with an incredible win. Donnie Murphy. My goodness. Last night, Sun Life Stadium was the site of a lot of incredible moments. The Marlins, one of the wildest games we've ever seen, beat the Rockies, win the first game of a 4-game series, and win a game that Ubaldo Jimenez started. All of those things are good things for the Fish, and ready to go for Game 2. The Marlins and the Rockies ready to square off again. Hi, everybody. Rich Walsh along with Tommy Hudd. We hope you all have recovered from last night. So many twists and turns. But the bottom line is this, Tommy. The Marlins win the game. Ubaldo Jimenez didn't get the loss, but the Marlins essentially won the game that he started. Now the Fish have a real opportunity. With 3 games left in this series, they have an opportunity. If they can take 2 of 3 from here on out, they can win this 4-game series.
I'm not thinking 2 of 3. I'm thinking 3 of 3. You hit the nail on the head last night when you talked about a 4-game series, a tough series to win all 4 games. But to win a game that Jimenez started, that's a great way to start the series.
We just saw the walk-off shot by Donnie Murphy. But last night, the Marlins scored runs not only with the big blows, but they did a lot of little things right last night offensively and defensively.
Yeah, well, you know, the home runs are great to get, but when you do those little things, it helps you win games when you have an ace starting for the other team. If you get on base, Bonifacio forced the issue with Jimenez's wild throw. He got over to third on that error. How about Hanley taking it upon himself to drop down a beautiful bunt to bring home Bonifacio? Gabby Sanchez, a nice play, good throw to the plate to nail the runner. Bonifacio again forcing the issue. A base hit on the bunt. You'd love to see him do that more often. Jorge Cantu looked like the Jorge Cantu of April with a big RBI base hit. So, yeah, we left out the home runs for the time being, but the little things are very important.
Now's the time.
Now's the time.
For the big things. Obviously, Murphy was the headline shot, but this was an enormous home run as well. Mike Stanton.
He had already put together a couple of hits off Jimenez. He took that pitch down and out over the plate, up and into the blue seats. His 6th home run of the year, a 3-run shot. How about Donnie Murphy? Pinch hitting, a fastball away. He took it away. His 11th career home run, his first as a Marlin. And boy, was he happy. What a big base hit for Murphy, who at one time was a teammate of Houston Street's in Oakland.
I got one more little thing that added to that big thing. Dan Uggla drew a walk before that. That was the first walk that Houston Street had allowed this year.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive. The Marlins and the Rockies both going with lefties in this one. And here they are for your enjoyment. Jeff Francis and Nate Robertson.
Couple of lefties that aren't going to overpower hitters with 95-mile-an-hour fastballs, but a couple of lefties, when they're on their game, they know how to pitch.
And they know how to send emails, because it's Email Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Bonifacio back in the lineup. We'll talk about his big night, his impact on the game. Maybe we'll get him to send us an email. Out in left field, it's Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Rich, and good evening again, everybody. Emilio Bonifacio once again will lead off for the Marlins in this game, Jeff. And last night he showed his value as a major league player. When he's on his kind of game, he's very helpful for a ball club. He creates all kinds of things, and he's been in the middle of it the last couple of nights for the Marlins.
Well, he's in there because Chris Coughlin's injury to his back the last couple of days, but he was the prototypical leadoff man last night, putting the ball on the ground. He had a few bunts. He was aggressive on the base paths, and you'll see the excitement that he created here. First of all, huge hit up the middle off Ubaldo Jimenez, scores 2 runs. But notice, kept the ball on the ground. He puts pressure on the pitcher to keep him closer to first base because of his speed, forces the error there, makes it to third. Scores easily on a very rare Hanley Ramirez bunt.
Yeah,
and then if he gets the ball on the grass and the third baseman has to handle the ball, he's safe no matter what. And obviously when a guy like Jorge Cantu or Dan Uggla or whoever comes up 3, 4, 5 and they see Emilio standing on second base, they know it's a really good shot at RBI if they get a base hit. So they're loving his speed on the base paths.
He scored 2 runs, and we mentioned last night, one thing John Malley talked about to him yesterday was bunting toward the line and not trying to do like Hanley to get it by the pitcher. It's easier to have success, but it's a little crafty too, to get it close to the line.
Well, I think a lot of guys, especially leadoff guys, when they want to bunt for a base hit, they get their momentum moving and they don't have quite the accuracy. He's got such great speed, he could take that split second longer to get a good position with his bat and put it on the line and still have enough time to beat out the throw.
All right, and of course, if it goes foul, no problem. You get another crack at it. Marlins and Rockies get another crack at each other in Game 2 of this 4-game series. Coming up next, as it's Jeff Francis, the lefty, against Nate Robertson, the Marlins southpaw. Coming up in just a moment.
Could we possibly have as much drama as last night? I'm not sure about that, but this should be an interesting follow-up. Here come the Rockies, 50-42, 4.5 back in the West. They came back in the wild card. Dexter Fowler had a good series in Colorado. He gets the start in center. Jonathan Herrera was the hero last night for about 20 minutes. Melvin Mora gets a rare start in left. Ryan Spilborghs is in right. Chris Iannetta behind the plate. Big Brad Elder, the kid from Coconut Creek, is at first base. Ian Stewart, the lone lefty, back from last night at third. Glenn Barmas, the shortstop. Jeff Francis hits ninth.
Rich, I think the challenge for Nate Robertson tonight is the fact that he hasn't pitched in 10 days. His last outing was in Arizona before the All-Star break.
And you see his numbers. He has been what you would expect out of a number 5 starter, an innings eater. Gives you 5-6 innings just about every start. He's had moments where he's been outstanding. He's had moments where he's been quite hittable. 1-1 coming to Fowler.
And if he uses that changeup effectively the way he did there, he'll have a little success tonight.
Fowler hasn't done much hitting lately. He has 1 for his last 25. But as we showed you, he had a great series against the Fish in Colorado. That's when the Rockies took 2 of 3 from the Marlins.
He's also, Rich, a little better right-handed hitter than he is a lefty.
And he's very fast, so you want to keep him off the bases. Jim Tracy's lineup has a real different look to it. We talked last night of how many powerful left-handed bats they had stacked up against Anibal Sanchez. Most of those bats are out, and a great changeup strikes out Dexter Fowler. TGI Fridays brings you the defense. Both teams had a real bad third inning defensively last night, then made some good plays.
Yeah,
they
did. Bonifacio and Cody, Mike Stanton in that outfield. Wes Helms with the start tonight. He's at third. Jorge Cantu moves over to first. And Ronnie Paulino behind the plate. Wes Helms has terrific numbers against Francis. That's why he's in there.
There's a strike to Jonathan Herrera. Here's the strikeout pitch to Dexter Fowler.
We talked about that changeup. If it's effective, he'll get strikeouts, get some ground ball outs.
Liner to right. Stanton goes back, and he makes the catch. And, of course, that scene was repeated last night, only with a different result. Herrera hitting one from the other side of the plate, sending Stanton back and hitting it out.
I think it'll be interesting to watch tonight how the ball carries to right field. A lot of players were talking about the wind, and we saw a lot of balls carry. That one carried pretty well there.
Here is Melvin Mora. Well, the Rockies players are convinced that it really was carried because they had never seen Jonathan Herrera hit a home run. It was his first major league homer. They had never seen Jonathan Herrera hit a home run in batting practice this year.
How about this? You have these two teams, a lot of powerful hitters on both clubs. And the key home runs were hit by Jonathan Herrera and Donnie Murphy.
Cody Ross is over, makes the catch. That's a nice clean start by Nate Robertson. Big home run last night. Ronnie Paulino, of course, loves lefties. Nate Robertson Hits ninth, and here's Bonifacio, the switch hitter against Francis, who catches the corner at the knees on Bonifacio. Francis is 29 and coming back from major shoulder surgery at the end of the 2008 season.
Yeah, he did not pitch at all last year and actually has really struggled his last 3 starts. 12 innings, he's given up 21 hits and 16 runs in those last 3 starts. I hate to say this, he's not overpowering, has a big 12-6 curveball and a very good changeup.
Bonifacio takes outside, and it's 1-2. A big key last night was the fact that Bonifacio got on base and caused some havoc with his speed. He had a bunt single and, of course, a 2-run ground ball single, and he rolls that one into left field, a base hit. Well, that's a good start.
Good job on a pretty good pitch, too, from Francis. Here's the defense brought to you by TGI Fridays. Melvin Mora, Fowler, and Spilborgh's in that outfield. Stewart, Barmas on the left side. Herrera, Brad Eldred at first base. And Chris Iannetta is behind the plate.
Wes Helms digs in, and Wes Helms is in the lineup because he hits Jeff Francis.
Tell me about it, Rich. Tell me about it.
6 for 9. 4 doubles and a homer against Francis. Now, you hadn't seen him in a while. The Marlins, not many other teams have seen him in a while after missing about a season and a half. But there you have it. So 5 of the 6 hits, extra base hits. And Helms fouls it off. And the other side of this is the Marlins and Edwin Rodriguez have been looking for a chance to give Gabby Sanchez a day off. Boy, Gabby gets the day off. Cantu plays first.
Yeah, this move is really twofold. It gets Gabby that day off, but it gets Wes. The Marlins, I think, need to get Wes on track. He has not had the kind of swings he had last year consistently.
And he gets rung up on a fastball by Francis. So a Bonifacio single, but Francis strikes out Wes Helms. Here comes Hanley, and here comes our first call for the emails. Now, if you log on to foxsportsflorida.com and click on the Ask the Marlins icon, or see that email address there, just askthemarlins@fox.com. Askthemarlins@fox.com. We will have Vice President and General Manager Michael Hill in the fourth inning.
Fire some questions away. And we'll save them up for Mike Hill.
Here's Hanley now. Francis fires a fastball for a strike. One of the mysteries of Hanley's season have been his struggles against lefties. Obviously, Francis qualifies there. And there are the splits.
Yeah, that is a surprise when you see that 217 average against lefties. Very good off-speed pitch.
Quickly, it's 0-2, and one thing we've already noticed is that Bonifacio is having issues with Jeff Francis's move to the plate. He's had a hard time reading when Francis is either going over or going to the plate.
I know with a lot of the new coaches on Edwin Rodriguez's coaching staff, guys like Tarek Brock at first base, doing a lot of research, a lot of video watching of moves of pitchers they've not seen before to try to help out the runners.
On that pitch, Bonifacio was actually going back to first base when Francis delivered the pitch.
It gets to a point where if you're fooled that much, then against the lefty, if you're going to steal, you go on first movement.
Right, and take your chances, especially with a guy like Brad Eldred, who's not the best of fielding first baseman. With all due respect to Coconut Creek. He's running on first movement, and Hanley pops it up. Eldred going after it out in shallow right makes the catch. So Bonifacio did have a good jump, and he gambled, and it worked out, but Hanley pops out. Here comes Unger.
You know, a little bit further into right field, that drops because with Bonifacio on the move, the second baseman, Jonathan Herrera, was covering. Normally it's a second baseman who makes that catch. Eldred was able to get back and make a fine play. A little bit further, and that's a base hit.
Here's Ugla now. He was 0 for 3 last night, but he walked twice, and of course the biggest walk was with 2 outs in the ninth against Houston Street, the first walk that Street had issued this year. Now Street hasn't pitched a full season. He's appeared in 13 games, but you go 14 innings and you walk just one guy. That's pretty darn good.
And you have opposing batters hitting 196 against you.
And Street was very much aware that Ugla had some big hits against him. We talked about when the Marlins played in Oakland, a few years ago. Ugla had a homer and a double against Street, both in late game situations. And there's the 47 walks. Ugla's on pace again to be in the 90s. His on-base percentage right now at .364. And he hits lefties this year.
Plus, Donnie Murphy told us that Dan Ugla told him, I'm going to get you up there. You're going to get to the plate in this inning. A lot of text messages on Donnie Murphy's phone this morning.
Yeah, Donnie Murphy leading off a lot of highlight shows last night and this morning.
A couple of guys there, John Baker, Donnie Murphy, and Houston Street, all in the Oakland organization. They were all in the fall league together.
And that's another part of that at-bat, the story going in.
John Baker said they were having a great conversation before the at-bat and talking about how they knew that Houston Street was going to stay away with fastballs. And so the approach should be try to take a fastball the other way.
And Street said as much information as Murphy had on him, Street had the same information on Murphy, and he was just trying to get a fastball over, and then Street said then he was going to go after him with hard sliders. But he never got the chance. Francis. Ugla takes a strike. Obviously Francis not throwing real hard, and he was not a hard thrower before the shoulder surgery, but you have that type of shoulder surgery, and we saw it with Anibal Sanchez and his road to recovery after his surgery in 2007. The shoulder is totally different than Tommy John, an elbow. It takes longer.
Yeah, pitchers will tell you much more difficult to come back from shoulder surgery than Tommy John.
See, he's topped out at 89, and his changeup has come across at 72. One of a long list of really good Canadian players in the big leagues. Ugla goes down and yanks it foul. I mean, you look at some of the names in the game today: Russell Martin, Justin Morneau, Jason Bay, Joey Votto, all Canadian. Francis, one of the many Canadian pitchers. Ryan Dempster, Rich Harden, Sean Hill, Eric Bedard. O2 is up.
And Rich, as you like to say so often, out of that baseball powerhouse, University of British Columbia.
North Delta, British Columbia is a suburb of Vancouver, and Francis grew up, and one of his idols, a former Rocky star, Larry Walker. And of course,
pretty good idol to have if you're Canadian.
Is he the greatest Canadian position player in history, Larry Walker?
I would have
Fergie Jenkins would be the greatest Canadian pitcher, right?
Yeah, I would have to say, position-wise, absolutely.
Well, it took a while, but Francis finally strikes out Ugla. Marlins got a leadoff single, and that's it.
last night. He said today he felt very good about things as that ball is skied to the left center field. And it'll be a routine out for the Marlins. Rodriguez said, especially when the count got to 1-0, he said he knows that Murphy likes to pitch outside, and he noticed Olivo moving the target outside. The reason he knows that is Edwin saw Murphy hit 10 homers for him down in New Orleans, and Edwin told me 8 of them went to the opposite field. So power versus the right spot for Murphy came through, and Edwin said he'd love to get Murphy a start one of these days, maybe even as early as Thursday, a little spot start in the infield somewhere. But nice for Murphy, and as you mentioned earlier, Tommy, just to feel part of the team, to be able to contribute and get that great celebration at home plate.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. All total, he hit 12 home runs in AAA. He hit a couple after Edwin got here.
Here's a guy that's been hitting home runs in big spots, and that's Chris Iannetta. Ionetta's hit 2 walk-off homers this year, and he homered in Cincinnati on Sunday. That was the only run of the game in the 1-0 Rockies win. Not a big batting average, but Ionetta's been playing caddy to Miguel Olivo. Has been over 300 all year.
Iannetta kind of lost the job. Miguel Olivo took over the starting catcher's role. And Iannetta this year has started just 23 times.
Throwing out our ceremonial first email of the night, sent from a BlackBerry, but anonymous. The fan wants to know what other teams has Donnie Murphy played for. And he was originally drafted by the Kansas City Royals organization out of junior college. That's a swing and a strikeout. Iannetta, in disbelief, turns to walk back to the dugout. And so there are 2 outs. Here's a look.
Well, he thinks he checked the swing. I don't know.
Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't.
You got to live with the call. First base ump Jim Reynolds rang him up.
Brad Eldred stands in. Eldred, the local kid from Coconut Creek, getting the start at first base.
Yeah, Donnie Murphy has had some big league time. That was his 11th career home run.
He was a draft pick, as I mentioned, by the Royals out of Orange Coast Community College. The junior college system in California is a very high caliber level of baseball. And that's where Murphy came from.
I'll tell you who used to be the coach there quite a while ago. Remember the catcher, Brent Main?
Yes.
His father, Mike Main, was the coach at Orange Coast Community College. Used to go down there and work out in Southern California prior to spring training.
And Murphy spent parts of 2 seasons in the big leagues with Kansas City, parts of 2 years in the big leagues with Oakland. 3-1 coming to Eldred. Towns went on the ground. Hanley deep in the hole. Long throw. Nicely done. And Nate Robertson's gone 1-2-3 through the Rockies for the 2nd straight inning. The chance to play catch with Cody Ross. Visit Jiffy Lube for more details. He'll even teach you that trick, how to throw your bat at the ball and get a line drive single to right, just like he did last night. Let's see if the Marlins have any more success against Francis than they did in the first. He struck out Helms and Ugly, got Hanley to pop out. That was after Bonifacio's single.
Well, we did find out one thing about Jeff Francis. When a runner gets on first, he slows the pace down, especially because it was Bonifacio. And he has a very good changeup. We pointed that out earlier.
One-two coming. Cantu pulls a ground ball. A difficult hop for Stewart. And he makes the play. All right, let's scout this guy. We haven't seen him in a couple of seasons.
Well, we talked about at one time a 17-game winner, missing all of 09. He does have a big over-the-top curveball with some late break to it. And in order for him to have success, he needs command. So does Nate Robertson.
Our emails tonight have a real lefty flavor to them. Kenny in Wellington wants to know what's happened to Dontrell Willis. Don't understand what's happened to him. Cody Ross sends a high fly ball to left. Melvin Mora, not a real accomplished outfielder, but he's out there tonight and he makes the catch.
Dontrell just signed, didn't he, a minor league contract?
Yes, he did with San Francisco Giants. I think, and you can read that email two ways. Where is Dontrell, or what has happened to him as a pitcher? Let's answer the second one. His mechanics, his confidence, it seems like...
Boy, it's been everything.
It has been everything.
Gotten into his head, the mechanics, the failure, the releases from a couple of organizations, Detroit and Arizona.
Mike Stanton takes outside.
So we always, because of our love for Dontrell, we always wish him the best. And you know what? Who knows? He's with an organization near his hometown. You never know.
Stanton takes a strike. Mike can count now at 2-1. Mike Stanton has hit 3 3-run homers, a grand slam, 2-run homer. He takes outside. Of course, the 3-run shot last night came off of Ubaldo Jimenez. Jimenez did not get the loss, but his ERA took a little bit of a hit. 2.38 now is his ERA. Still pretty impressive. But it's happened a few times. In fact, 3 of his last 5 starts where Jimenez has had a no decision and has not pitched well. And Stanton swings and misses. Francis is baffling so far. But so is Nate Robertson. More left-handed emails coming up.
Yours truly. So tell me about your process over the last few years of getting this suite.
Well, I've been interested in doing something for the foundation, and last year I got the suite, and this year I got it again, and I think it's a great opportunity to bring friends to the ballpark.
Doesn't get any better than that. Glenn's from Minnesota, and looking forward to the new ballpark when you got a roof over your head and you can be nice and cool like it is in Minnesota.
Oh, most definitely.
So here we are, just hanging out, having a good time with some of Glenn's friends.
Hey, Niner, make sure you tell them, pound as much of the beverages and food as they can, because all the beverages, all the food, it's all they can eat tonight, all right?
Ah. Not you, Niner. Don't
not
pound.
me?
No,
Come
you
on.
can't pound. You can pound the food, not
Glenn,
the
all your
beverages.
friends, they should, Rich was just telling me, you should definitely partake in everything that they're putting in here for you tonight, because it's all you can eat, all you can drink. We're going to put this bill on. Who's footing this bill? Fox, right?
Yes.
On the network. So let's have a good time.
Oh, we most definitely will. Bring on the Dom.
Maybe we'll stand on the hallway and we'll funnel some people in here, and everybody can have a good party here in 245A.
Great, I love it.
What was that, 245 what?
245A.
Okay.
Hey, guys, come on in. Enjoy yourself.
All right, Niner. Yeah, Fox Sports Florida, generous in donating that suite for a night for the fantasy auction.
Well, that's a great opportunity. How about the first base hit for the Rockies from the lone left-hander in the lineup?
Yeah, Ian Stewart. Stewart at first. Barmas is at the plate. Francis is on deck. Nate Robertson has a couple of strikeouts. Tommy, the auction's not over, though. We had our after party on Sunday at the Las Olas location. And there we are.
Just a continuous party.
Brett Hayes, Edwin Rodriguez, Gabby Sanchez. A lot of Marlin fans came and did some shopping. Runner goes, and Robertson misses on the 3-1 pitch. And Barmas is aboard. So Stewart at second, Barmas at first, and now Francis obviously will be trying to drop down a bunt. Yeah, Tommy Bahama was generous enough to donate proceeds from 4 stores sales all day on Sunday, and we had our after party at Las Olas on Sunday night.
And I can't tell you, and I know the same is true for you, the number of comments we get on our nice Tommy Bahama attire.
Robertson drops it and then throws it wide of first. Francis beats it. Nate was trying to get the out at third, hurried, dropped the ball, and everybody is safe.
Well, remember we talked about the little things in the opening of our telecast. You got to do those little things, and that doesn't mean making errors and throw a little wide. You're right. The thought was to get the out at third. A little peek, took his eye off of it, and then Nate couldn't get the out at first.
I'm guessing a sacrifice E1. Fowler trying to push a bunt right side. So the Rockies have them loaded, and there's nobody out here in the third inning. But they do have a struggling hitter at the plate in Dexter Fowler. Maybe one of the reasons why he just tried to push a bunt, like Hanley Ramirez did last night. Fowler struck out in the first, 1 for his last 26. And Nate is right out in front of him, 0-2.
Yeah, the difference in, you think of a guy like Fowler and Bonifacio. One of the big differences, Fowler's walked 36 times, actually has an on-base percentage of over 340.
And Robertson on an 0-2 pitch hits him to force in a run. Man, you got a guy who was 1 for his last 26, and you got him 0-2. A couple of breakdowns for the Marlins.
That's supposed to be a fastball in, and obviously it just took off way inside. I mentioned it at the very beginning. I think the challenge for Nate Robertson, the last time he pitched was July 10th. So 10 days ago in Arizona. And in that game, he gave up 6 hits and 5 runs in 6 innings to the Diamondbacks. He faced the Rockies earlier this year, second game of that doubleheader at Coors Field, and lost 8-1. Gave up 5 runs to the Rocks in 4 innings.
There was another lefty that started that game and got the win, a complete game job by Aaron Cook. Well, here's Herrera. My bad. I was channeling Dennis Cook.
You were channeling the lefty emails too.
We got a ton of them. They want to know where Andrew Miller is. Robertson a cut fastball that misses in, and now he's gone 2-0. Boy, he retired the first 6 that he faced. Then the single to Stewart, the walk to Barmas, the error on the bunt. And now he's 3-0 on the switch hitting second baseman. This is not a night where the Marlins are in a position to have a really short start. The bullpen's been worked awful hard as of late. And that one...
Well, it's going to be a night that you're going to have to extend Burke Badenham.
That one missed down low. And so Herrera walks with the bases loaded.
Number 6,
Fox Tracks brought to you by Toyota. Let's see where it missed. If it did miss, it didn't. And the other pitches were close. But when you're Wild and it's 3-0, sometimes you're not going to get that pitch.
Yeah, not just sometimes, most of the time. And now you get into a little tougher part of the lineup, too.
Mora.
You have an opportunity.
Yeah. Mora and Spilborghs, and then Iannetta. There's a liner down the left field line. It's fair, and into the corner it goes. That might score 3. 1 comes home. 2 comes home. Here comes the speedy Herrera. He's going to score. And the Rockies cash in big time. Melvin Mora, the veteran who has not had a good year this year, drives home 3.
Well, the changes made by Jim Tracy, just the 3rd start for Mora as a left fielder. He wanted his right-handed bat in the lineup. He took that breaking ball, took it into the left field corner, and cleared the bases.
Here now is Spilborghs. 5-0 Colorado.
And this is a little out of character. The Rockies this year came into the game hitting 194 with the bases loaded. So they've not come up with a lot of big hits this year, but they're disproving that theory this inning.
Spilborghs' little tapper. Cantu to get it. Robertson over to cover. Steps on the bag. So there's an out, but Spilborghs did move Mora over.
Number 20,
Chris Iannetta is coming up. All right, we'll answer that Andrew Miller question. That's from Nick in Davie. Where is Andrew Miller, and might he be a late season call-up?
Well, I would say when you have more walks than strikeouts in Double-A, no, but you never know. And you have an ERA that's in the high 5s. There have been some bright spots for Andrew Miller, but he still has struggled with command. And that's another question we could bring up to Mike Hill.
Robertson misses low. The count's 1-1. Iannetta here with the infield in. Marlins trying to choke off this run. Iannetta pops it foul and out of play. In fact, Iannetta and Andrew Miller were teammates briefly at the University of North Carolina.
Yeah, I remember you and I talking to Iannetta in Denver about that.
Have a Sean West question as well from Micah. Sean West is having a better year down in the minor leagues than Andrew Miller. In fact, if the Marlins were to need a starter, it probably would be either a Sean West or Chris Volstad call-up. Iannetta knocks one down the right field line. That is going to be a base hit. Into the corner it goes. Stand to pick it up. Iannetta has got himself an RBI double. And the Rockies are walking all over Nate Robertson right now.
Yeah, by the way, Chris Volstad has had a couple of starts. Won 6 innings, gave up no runs. Next time out went 7 innings, gave up just a couple. So he's had a couple of good starts in AAA.
Here's Brad Eldred. Now the Marlins bullpen really hasn't budged. And a lot of that is because what we've talked about, Marlins have had a lot of short starts lately. Even JJ's last start was 6 innings. Nolasco went 5 1/3 innings. Sanchez 6 innings. Sanabia 5 1/3.
Yeah, the bullpen's had to pitch a lot of innings the second half of the season here.
Clay Hensley flat ran out of gas last night. That was the 3rd consecutive night that he had pitched. And he, of course, ran into trouble. Jan Marinez came in and gave up the home run to Jonathan Herrera. Jose Veras was off limits last night. He's available tonight. But Marinez worked last night. He's kind of your emergency long guy, really. Burke Badenhop is available. But the Marlins don't want to bring Badenhop in here in the 3rd inning because then you're going to stretch him out. You're going to have to stretch him out.
And then you wouldn't have him for 2 or 3 days. So this is a dilemma that fans, and a lot of it, especially fans that are here at the ballpark, just don't understand and comprehend. They think you got to just take him out. Well, under other circumstances, you might. But under these circumstances, you can't.
That's going to be a strikeout and a passed ball, which allows Ionetta to move up. On the strikeout of Brad Eldred. And here's the guy that started it all, Ian Stewart.
Number 9, third baseman, Ian Stewart.
Ray in North Miami says he's seen many reports online saying that the Marlins are sellers in the trade deadline. Is this true or false? We will have Michael Hill on in the 4th. We can ask him that, but I think it's no secret that with the Marlins where they are, and in Larry Beinfest's own words, the Marlins have to be realistic where they sit when they get to the deadline. The Fish are 2 under right now, 45 and 47. Oh and 2. But you can be both. You can be a seller and a buyer at the trade deadline.
Yeah, the bottom line, you have to be realistic, and you're not just going to give people away.
Hanley behind the bag, spins and throws, and gets Ian Stewart. A messy inning for Nate Robertson. The Rockies put up a big crooked number and lead it 6-0.
Marlins are down 6-0.
Yes, absolutely.
It's all in perspective.
Ronnie Paulino, then Nate Robertson, and then Bonifacio. So here's where the Marlins are. They're in a 6-0 hole, and they're facing a soft-tossing lefty, which is often lethal to the Fish. This update coming in from wherever they are. She still says yes.
I think she's happy about the proposal.
Either that or she's a Rockies fan. She's still in disbelief. Get out of the shot. Come on. It's our big moment.
Yeah, we should send them up to the Fox Suite, all-you-can-eat suite with Jeff Gonine.
Here it is. Now there's the ring and the flowers.
And the flowers.
And more kissing.
The kissing just hasn't stopped.
Here's the 2-2. And it's fouled back. Now, I like that idea. Invite them to the suite.
Sure.
Because there's some beverages there they can partake with. And is Billy going to perform the ceremony right now?
I believe Billy does have a clerical license.
You know, she's in such disbelief that she doesn't even care.
Look at this.
She doesn't even care that in the biggest moment of her life, she just took a picture with a fish. Here's the 2-2. Paulino sends that one foul and out of play. All right, so we have kissing, we have emails, and it's 6-0 Colorado.
I say go for the emails.
Charlie in Oakland Park. Any Marlins pitcher ever won the Cy Young Award? If so, who and what year? Here's the 2-2. That would be a no.
No, I would say Doncho Willis
Came the closest.
Came closest. Kevin Brown with some terrific years.
FoxSportsFlorida.com is the website. Click on the icon at that point. Or
next pitch, by the way, number 11, coming to Ronnie Paulino.
Ask the Marlins at Fox.com. You can just send that in the address. Ronnie continues to battle. The count's 2-2.
Hey, look at all those pitches.
And Jeff Francis outlasts Ronnie Paulino. This is the old Jeff Francis. I mean, the guy that we saw that was really dazzling, that was able to get outs in altitude, was 17-9 in 2007.
Yeah, always had enough of a fastball and then used that changeup and curveball.
I'm not sure if the dark clouds are a good thing or a bad thing. Nate Robertson, Eldred, nice play by the big man. And he steps on the bag. All right, in case you missed it the first time, how would you like to play catch on the field with Cody Ross? Visit a participating South Florida Jiffy Lube and register for the Play Catch with Cody sweepstakes. You can win 1 year of free oil changes, plus the chance to play catch with Cody Ross. Visit Jiffy Lube for details. Jiffy Lube, the official oil change of the Fish. How's Logan Morrison doing in AAA? Might we see him in the majors this season? I'm going to file that one under a Michael Hill question.
Yeah, I know the last time I checked, a day or so ago, he was still hitting over 300. Good on-base percentage. Good ratio of strikeouts and walks.
Andre in Fort Lauderdale has the best record for lefty pitchers for the Marlins. There is Michael Hill.
And UM's coach, Jim Morris.
Larry Beinfest there as well. Best record for a lefty pitch for the Marlins got to be Dontrell Willis.
Dontrell, yeah.
One-two to Bonifacio. And he fouls it off. Gabe in Tampa. Huge Marlins fan in Tampa, and a very close friend of Muscle Boy, who is now Muscle Young Man. What needs to be done to get Muscle Boy to throw out a first pitch? I think more so than a first pitch, the Marlins should bring Muscle Boy back to tear down one of the numbers for the new ballpark.
Oh, that's a great thought.
Because Muscle Boy was a part of that run.
It's an integral part of 1997. And that was before steroids.
Liner to right. Muscle Boy was not on the juice. Is that what you're saying? 6-0, Rockies on top. Jeff Francis has been outstanding. Now that is not Muscle Boy. Not the authentic Muscle Boy. All right, the Marlins and the Rockies. Michael Hill joins us now on an email Tuesday. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Clint Barmas takes a fastball for a strike. And let's get right into it. We've already had a lot of emails. And I guess the first question, Michael, Miguel in Hialeah wants to know, Marlins sellers or buyers with the trade deadline, or do you guys know yet?
I would have to say at this point, Rich, we're still evaluating everything, and this time of the season, obviously, you're still watching your club. You're seeing what holes you may have. You're seeing what you may need to do to upgrade if there's an opportunity to upgrade, and I think that's what we're in the midst of doing.
Give us, Mike, a little idea of as that July 31st trading deadline gets closer, a little idea how your day goes and how often the phone rings and how that whole process works.
Well, it's pretty much nonstop as you get closer, just because it's an opportunity for clubs to potentially make deals that they think may put them over the top, and I think everyone leading up to this point, you're making phone calls, you're talking to the other respective clubs, and you're just seeing if there's a fit, if there's anything that you may have that may work for another club, or something that they may have that may work for you, and just trying to feel everybody out to see what they're willing to do, what they're able to do, and And I think right now everybody's in the midst of that right now.
What's the percentage? Do you make more calls or do you receive more calls?
Gosh, it seems like you're always on the phone. I guess that's the easiest answer. It just feels like you're always on the phone.
At the end of the All-Star, or at the end of the first half, just before the All-Star break, we had Larry on from Arizona, and he said, as Francis's bunt is picked up by Paulino, Hanley's relay, that's a heck of a double play. You don't see the 2-6-3 double play much at all, but Paulino made a terrific pickup, and Hanley a sharp, crisp turn, and that's our checkers double play of the night.
I tell you what, this is just outstanding. Ronnie pounces on it, bare hands, a strike to Hanley, flat-footed, and gets a nice stretch at the other end from Jorge Cantu. Checkers double play, and this one's nice.
Nice when they're trying to give you outs and you actually take them.
And you get two of them.
Yes.
And the Marlins unable to do that in the third when the Rockies scored 6. Anyways, Larry said that the Marlins had to be realistic when they got to the trading deadline, and that the homestand following the All-Star break would go a long way to determine the Marlins' course of action. Is that still the case?
Definitely. You're talking about the clubs that we're facing, the Rockies, one of those clubs ahead of us in the wild card race, and after the Rockies, we've got the division-leading Atlanta Braves coming in. And those, every game is important. And you talk about trying to make up ground and trying to get a team that to this point hasn't played as well as you would have liked. You want to get hot, and I think that's the goal of everyone here is to win as many games as possible, and it all starts with this homestand following the All-Star break.
Can you? This is a hypothetical question, but one that I've been pondering the last couple of days. As a general manager of any major league team, 2-2 pitch, ground ball up the middle. Hanley has that one. Spinorama and a throw. Nicely done. I'll ask you the question when we get back. Mike Hill will return when we get back in the bottom of the fourth. Hanley Ramirez with a nifty play to his left. Marlins down, though, 6-0. Cody Ross or a Dan Uggla. For Doug Melvin in Milwaukee, it would be a Prince Fielder. Can you get more for that player now at the trading deadline, or more for that player in the off season in terms of a trade?
Well, just hypothetically speaking, it depends on the marketplace, and if there was a situation where a playoff team may need what you have, then that may be an opportunity for you to extract a little more value during the season. Generally, though, in the off season, if you're talking about a very productive player, you may get more in the off season because you have a bigger pool to shop with, and that's the one thing with this whole trade deadline. You know, there's teams that may definitely be buyers. Right now, I don't know if you can really say how many clubs are sellers, and I think that's why there's so much activity. There's so much speculation on who's in, who's out, and I think that's what makes it so much fun, at least for the fans, from outside, just to try to guess and see what their club may be up to.
All right, let's change gears a little bit. We had some emails last inning asking about a couple of young guys that we've seen, Logan Morrison, Andrew Miller, Sean West. How's everything going as far as their progress, or things kind of leveled out? What's going on with those guys?
Logan Morrison, probably the guy that Mike Stanton's here in the big leagues, probably our best position player prospect, and he is doing exactly what he does. He's going to be a middle of the bat order with line drive power. He's a good athlete. He can play first base, can play the outfield.
Is he playing a lot of outfield?
He's doing both.
Okay.
He's doing both. And the one thing we try to do in the minor leagues is just make sure that whatever may happen with these guys, that they're ready to come to the big leagues. And with Mike Stanton's case, we made sure that he played both corners, not knowing where he might play when he gets to the big leagues. So we make sure with Logan Morrison and with our prospects that we expose them to any of the possible positions that you could see him in if they were to come up to the big leagues. And the rest of the questions, Sean West, Andrew Miller. Andrew Miller is hopefully turning the corner now, and we've been able to see him string some solid starts together. We're talking about a young man with unbelievable talent, and I think the one thing we've been trying to get from him is consistency, ability to repeat his delivery and stay within the strike zone, and he is doing that much better with our Double-A club. Sean West, who spent the most of the early part of the season on the disabled list with the back, is back pitching and back getting himself ready and hopefully closer to getting back to the big leagues.
All right, Edwin has this question.
Now, is that from the dugout?
No, I was about to say, I think it's Edwin in
That's the other phone. That's the bat phone when Edwin calls.
Edwin in Hialeah, not Edwin in the dugout, wants to know, as Hanley, it's a slow roller out towards short. Barmas, who plays the heck out of shortstop, throws him out. Wants to know, if the Marlins are within 4 or 5 games of the wild card at the end of this homestand, and the Marlins are going to be buyers, what are your realistic priorities in what this team needs?
Well, that's a very good question, and I think as you look at our club and you look at how we've performed to this point, I know a lot of people would say first and foremost our bullpen, because that's where we had our early struggles with the bullpen. I think that things have definitely settled down in the pen with Veras coming back and bringing some stability to the back end, along with Hensley and Nunez. Probably, I would say, if you can add a veteran piece in the pen, you would look to do that. From any other standpoint on our club, you would just like the players that you have here. A lot of talent that we have on this team to perform to their track records.
Now, I have a question I'm always afraid to ask with 2 outs. The theme, this is just my opinion, we talked about it a little bit last night. If you go beyond this year, next year, the theme to me would be lefties. Bat, another bullpen lefty. Does that sound reasonable?
No. When you look at our club, it's without Chris Coughlin in the lineup, you're a little thin from the left side. Taylor Tankersley is our only left-hander in the bullpen, and those are things that when you try to put a club together, you try to be as balanced as you possibly can, and that's something that from a lefty-righty standpoint, we definitely look to try to do in our rotation and in our lineup. And sometimes you have the ability to do that. Some other times you don't. But balance, both offensively and from our pitching, is what we try to achieve.
Barmas waits for it and fires Ugla out. All right, Michael, that was quick. Thank you.
That was quick.
Yeah, but we
quick.
covered a lot, though.
We did. Need to cover a few more runs here.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have you back on before that trading deadline is over.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Mike.
6-0 Rockies. Nate Robertson to work and a soft line drive. Just gets over Ugla's head. And Jonathan Herrera has a base hit.
Hey, you talk about a guy taking advantage of an opportunity. Herrera getting the opportunity with Tulowitzki on the disabled list. Barmas moving over to short. And Herrera coming in to play second base. He's hit over 350 since June 18th.
Nate Robertson, in the 4 innings he's worked, has held the Rockies scoreless in 3 of the 4 innings. Bad news, the 6-run third in which nothing went right. Robertson hit a batter with the bags loaded on an 0-2 pitch. Walked Herrera with the bags loaded. Gave up the 2-run double to Melvin Mora. Misplayed a bunt. And it all collapsed around him. We still have a good number of emails that came in from Michael Hill, and we realize it was a quick inning. So, Tommy, if you want to play general manager, I got a couple more for you.
Well, sure, we can always do that.
Here's Dan in Coral Springs wants to know, how important for the Marlins is it to have a good 2011 season in order to excite fans for the new stadium? And has the Miami Heat's
great question
move put more pressure on the Marlins, or does it take pressure away?
Well, I don't know if it's put pressure on the Marlins, but I think we discussed this not on the air, but I remember talking to you about it on the road trip when the big news with LeBron James going to the Heat. I'll be quite honest, I think the Marlins do have to have some success in 2011.
Herrera's running. That ball is hit to left. Bonifacio looking up, and it's gone. Melvin Mora is out of his slumber, hitting .247 with a homer and 14 RBIs before the game started. He's 2 for 3 with a 3-run double and a 2-run homer. Yes, a Coors Light cold hard blast.
5 RBIs already for Melvin Mora, making just his 3rd start in left field. He launches this one into the twilight. But to get back to that question, I think it's important for the Marlins to have some success. And that doesn't necessarily mean win the World Series, but just put a good product out there, because to be quite honest, in this economy, people are going to save their dollars and go see LeBron James if it's not that way. So I think regardless of if you're moving into a beautiful new building, which the Marlins will be in 2012, I think they have to have some success in 2011.
Fire throws a strike to Ryan Spilborghs. TJ wondering from Sun Life Stadium, is the 10-run reel getting ready right now? That one is off of Robertson, picks it up, flips it in time, because he wants to know if he should set his DVR for it. All right. Every night we look forward at the Marlins' upcoming schedule. It's brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. 2 more games with the Rockies. Thursday of much importance. It's a Josh Johnson start on Camp Day. Marlins live at the early hour of 11:30. Just as we look forward to the Marlins schedule, you too can live forward with Just for Men Hair Color.
So who is that from? That last email?
TJ.
TJ, well, he must have one of those gadgets that from his cell phone he can get the DVR going. I haven't quite gotten there yet.
There's an app for that on your iPhone. We'll show it to you next road trip. That's a crack staff question. I think the crack staff is scrambling right now with the score 8-0. We are hopeful that the 10-run reel does not appear tonight. It's much more fun when the Marlins are up 10 than when they're getting skunked by 10. Dear Rich and Tommy, this is from Nancy in Sebring. Not in a Sebring, but in Sebring. Inetta takes down low. Please explain to me why a bullpen pitcher, even the young ones, cannot be expected to pitch 1, 2, or 3 innings every game. This is not a sarcastic question. I just don't understand. I'm 72 years old. I can play 18 holes of golf every day in temperatures over 100 degrees. Please discuss so I can understand the logic.
Well, I guess you start with the physical ability it takes to throw a baseball.
It's an unnatural motion.
It's an unnatural motion. And to do that 2 or 3 innings every day, see, it's a little different. You see softball players can do that because that is the natural motion of the arm. But pitchers, you just can't do that. Pretty soon they'll all be going to Birmingham to see Dr. Andrews. So if you did that.
Nancy, the easy explanation is this. Throwing a baseball is a violent motion that puts extreme stress on your shoulder and your elbow.
Now, there are times that my golf game is a violent motion that puts extreme stress on me. And I wouldn't be able to play 3 days in a row.
Brad Eldred's foul ball is going to land foul.
But that's a good question. Thank you for it.
Is the rumor that Cody Ross and Leo Nunez are headed to the Boston Red Sox true? And what would the Marlins get in this deal? It's from Robert.
You know, generally, all the names you read, most of the times the names that you read aren't the guys who get traded.
Robertson strikes out Eldred. So a 2-run homer by Melvin Mora has stretched this lead to 8-0. On top of the Marlins, and in the bottom of the 5th inning, the Fish try to solve Jeff Francis, who has been a puzzle thus far. He throws a strike to Jorge Cantu. The only hit the Marlins have is Emilio Bonifacio's ground ball single, the first batter that Francis facing. Cantu drives one into center field. AT&T trivia question. We flip the phone. Who hit the Marlins' first pinch hit walk-off homer?
That might have been even before the term walk-off came into play.
That was a Dennis Eckersley term, wasn't it? A walk-off piece. Of course, Eck gave up maybe the all-time walk-off. The Kirk Gibson walk-off in the World Series. Dodgers in Oakland. Cody's up. He's 0 for 1. He's flied out. Billy in Boynton Beach has sent us an email. When are the Marlins officially celebrating Andre Dawson's Hall of Fame induction? He is my all-time favorite player and a class act. I need to be there to see him finally get the recognition he deserves. Well, Billy in Boynton Beach, you're in luck. The Marlins Community Foundation, the Beacon Council of Miami, and the Alzheimer Association of South Florida is having a huge Hall of Fame luncheon honoring Hawk. And it is Friday, August 6th at the Four Seasons Hotel in Miami. So Friday, August 6th, a luncheon at the Four Seasons Hotel in Miami. Tickets are $200. And it certainly will be a memorable luncheon for Miami's own going into the Hall of Fame. Craig, you got more on that?
Yes, guys. Talked to the Hawk earlier today about his speech, and he said that he's practiced it a few times, but he said, you know what? He said, you are who you are, and I'm going to have some fun with it, enjoy it. He'll fly in, I guess, about 20 minutes away from the Hall of Fame there in Cooperstown and get ready for a tremendous weekend. But he's been working on this script for a while. We talked to him, remember, about 2 or 3 months ago, and he was putting some of the finishing touches on it even then.
Well, Craig, as well, we will have Andre Dawson on tomorrow. Hawk is going to talk about going to Cooperstown, and Frank Fort will be joining the Marlins traveling party up to Cooperstown, and Frank is going to call us from Cooperstown this weekend and let us know how everything is going, and certainly file a report and produce, I'm sure, another award-winning special with all the behind-the-scenes look at Hawk going into the Hall of Fame.
Well, it'll be a tremendously busy and enjoyable time for Hawk. I was talking to him yesterday, and obviously there are a lot of things you have to try to put together. He was telling me the Cubs are hosting a party for the Hawk prior to the Sunday ceremony, and he was told that he could have 75 guests. So he's trying to get the right people and find out who all can come. And
Stan pops one up out towards second. Herrera's there, and he makes the catch. If you want information on the Hall of Fame luncheon, just go to the Community Foundation link, go to marlins.com, and up on the upper menu, go to Community. And the Andre Dawson luncheon is in that menu. In fact, it's number 1 on the menu once you get to the community section on the website.
I have a feeling that the Hawk will be cool and calm and collected when he delivers his speech.
Paulino struck out his first time up.
And you know what, Rich? He'll deliver it with class, the way he delivered his career.
One of the most respected players in his day. Paulino drives that ball to right center field. Spilborghs is out there, and he makes the catch. And the Marlins come up empty on Jeff Francis. Maybe we could suit Hawk up for the 7th or the 8th. It's around the corner. There it is. Who hit the Marlins' first pinch hit walk-off homer?
Rest this to strike.
When you need an answer, you go to that man.
Yeah, you got to go the go-to guy.
Jeff Conine, a pinch hit walk-off
I have
homer.
a question. Does Niner submit all of these? They have him as the answer?
That's part of his deal. It's co-host the pregame shows, fill in for you during a game, and also come up with the AT&T trivia question. And so that's why Niner is the answer to all these questions. Brett Hayes comes in. The Marlins make a double switch. Burke Badenhop working here in the 6th inning. And Hayes comes in. So Hopper is in the 8th spot. Hayes is set to lead off.
And with the double switch, you hope to get at least a couple of innings, maybe more, out of the Hopper. Good start.
Hopper gets a ground ball, flips it on over to first. And Ian Stewart is out. Super Saturday, Baker Concrete Super Saturday is coming up on the 24th. Sean Diddy Combs is the concert. Of course, the Marlins and the Braves at 7:10. A Marlins rally drum is in your future if you arrive for that night. A fireworks spectacular as well. Marlins.com or 1-877-MARLINS. Barmas. Clint Barmas takes down low. One of the big mistakes for Nate Robertson tonight was walking Barmas. Ugla gets that one hopper. Walking Barmas back in the 3rd. That's when things really started to go haywire. Nate misplayed the bunt, and then hit Fowler with the bags loaded, walked Herrera with the bases loaded, 3-run double to Melvin Moore, and just like that, it was a 6-0 game.
Number 26, Patrick Francis.
Lindsay and Davey wants to know, how many years is Mike Stanton signed for? Well, he's under club control for, what, at least 6 years?
6 years, yeah.
And
Well, he's going to be around a while.
And what that means is he's 3 years away from being arbitration eligible, and he's 6 years away from being a free agent. There's a chopper back to Badenhop.
That's why we love the Hopper.
Gotta love the Hopper. 8-pitch inning from the Hopper. By the other guys in theaters August 6th. Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. And by TGI Fridays. $8-0. Rockies on top in the bottom of the 6th. And it's going to be Brett Hayes who will lead it off. Marlins trying to climb out of this hole against Jeff Francis, who has just looked superb for the Rockies. Hayes, Bonifacio, and Helms.
I'll tell you one thing, in the brief time that Brett Hayes has had opportunities, he has been tremendous. Calling a game, catching a game, handling the pitcher, and having good at-bats.
Hayes, of course, hit a home run on that road trip. He and Mike Stanton both went to the same high school, Notre Dame High School, in Sherman Oaks, California. Hayes has a couple homers in the big leagues. And a strike from Francis. Jeff Francis tonight is back to his old self. It's been tough for him. He's had some nights like this, and he's had some awful performances as well.
Well, quite a contrast to his last 3 starts. We talked about that earlier. His last 3 starts, a total of 12 innings, giving up 21 hits and 16 runs.
5 strikeouts, no walks, just 2 hits. Hayes swings and misses. And down he goes. All right, let's freeze something. Ah, freeze it right there. That may be the best moment of the night for Marlin fans, Tommy. At least those 2 particular Marlin fans. Nothing frosty about that, even though it's the Coors Light freeze can. Little wedding proposal.
See, that's one of those things where it's down the road, 15, 20 years. Someone will ask the couple, how about the night you got engaged? And she will go on and just glow about all the wonderful things that happened. And the guy will say, yeah, but the Marlins got killed.
Do you think they're still here?
Well, if they are, I'm wondering why.
That's why I asked the question. As much as they were kissing, I don't think they're still here. Of course, we haven't checked the Fox Sports Florida suite either. Although last I saw, Niner was patrolling that. There's their seats. Are those special wedding proposal seats? Ian Stewart. A catch and a tag. Nice play by Eldred. Big man's played well around the bag in this ball game. Ask the Marlins at Fox.com. Ask the Marlins at Fox.com on an email Tuesday. Dana and Palmer, what will happen with Ronnie Paulino once John Baker comes back? Will there be a trade?
No, I think it'll just be more in the same platoon role that we saw last year. That's still a ways away, though. I think the positive for John Baker would be to see him in mid-August, late August, perhaps.
Wes Helms down the line. Helms is out at second base. Trying to stretch a single into a double. It's kind of the way the night has gone for the Fish.
And for Melvin Moore. of year with the trades that are talked about and everything. Were you ever, and if you were, how did it affect you? Were you ever traded during the middle of a season?
Well, I was traded from Philadelphia to St. Louis in the middle of the season. And I'm sorry, from St. Louis to Kansas City in the middle of the season. And it's hard because the family's going to move over too. You have to look for a place. It's hard for the kids. But you have to do what is best for you and for the ball club. There's no question about it that sometimes it gives you a lot of different ideas. Is
it something that leading up to the trade, do you hear rumors, and does it affect you in that way?
Well, in my case, I didn't hear anything or any rumors. I wasn't playing in St. Louis because they have one of the best second basemen in baseball in Julian Javier. So I was expecting, to be moved, but not during the season. He had a bad back, which happily happened the next year. He couldn't play. But I went to Kansas City, and it was good for my career, for my performance. I played 8 more years in Kansas City and put 4 straight All-Stars, so it was great.
That's good. Next to one of my favorite players of all time, Freddie Patek.
Absolutely.
Who was the shortstop in St. Louis? Was Maxfield the shortstop?
Maxfield was the shortstop. Yeah. That's correct. Yes.
So, Cookie, what you're saying is they didn't have Twitter back then.
No, they didn't.
So no rumors as far as that goes.
Well, the sports writers, as you well know, and the radio broadcasters, they're always talking about the possibilities of doing this, doing that. But in reality, until it happens, it surprises you. And as a matter of fact, for a moment, I didn't want to go to Kansas City, which was a expansion ball club. And I flew from San Francisco to San Diego to talk to a friend of mine, Preston Gomez, who was managing the Padres and always was a great advisor, which I learned a lot of baseball from him. Said, you better go to Kansas City. It's a young club. They need an experienced ball player that you can help that ball club, that franchise, and it'll be good for you. And finally, he convinced me. And really, it was great for me because I played 8 more years in that organization.
You got to the postseason, and of course, last year you told us the story of you guys swimming in the fountains out in left field.
That is right.
All right.
Every year that I was there, we were getting better and better and better. And then I promised that whenever we win, I'll jump in that water, and I did.
What about you, Tommy? Did you ever have that opportunity or that situation where you were traded midway through the season?
I did. I was in Toronto with the Blue Jays and got traded in July to Montreal. And as Cookie mentioned, you have a young family. At that time, we had a 6-month-old. And I've got to be with the Expos as quickly as possible. So you get off on a plane and follow them, and your family has to follow you to Montreal. So it's not an easy situation.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
We've heard from everybody here except you, Raul. I got a question for you. Last night is one of those games as a broadcaster that you're just along for the ride with. It was a terrific ride, I'm sure, for the Rockies broadcasters and for us. What about tonight? What have you guys been talking about for the last 6 innings?
Wow. We're just, whatever comes up, really.
We'll send you some emails.
Yeah. Actually, that's something that we were talking about a little while ago, too, about how, we're feeling a little left out on the emails, but it's all good.
No, we ought to, you know what? Hold on. Let me pull up
a lot of emails about some of the guys in the minor leagues, Logan Morrison, Andrew Miller, Sean West, a lot of emails about prospective trades.
All right, here's a good question that involves that ball that was just hit into left field. Guys, this is from Ray. Here's his question. When a pitcher throws a ball in the dirt at home plate, it's immediately replaced. However, when a batter pounds a chopper or a ground ball, it's kept in play. Why the difference? Now, that ball obviously probably took 3 hops on the infield dirt. Well, and Hopper still has the ball.
Usually, the hitter, right away when the ball is thrown by the pitcher and sees that the ball has bounced in home plate, they ask the umpire to look at it. When there is a ball hit to the shortstop or a line drive like you talked about, if the players would go ahead and say to the umpire, hey, check that ball, they have to do it.
Yep.
And then take it out of the ballgame. But if you don't say anything, they take advantage of it.
I got one for you, Cookie, because as a middle infielder, how about when the pitcher throws his warm-ups, the catcher throws the ball down to second, and he short hops you. All of a sudden, you have a scuffed ball, and you hand it to your pitcher.
Yeah. That is right. No question about it. And you remember the catchers. The catchers are the best one that they can help the pitchers with. Once they receive a ball in the air, and then you go ahead to throw the ball back to the pitcher, if they get it like Berra used to do, Joey Berra, and go across the dirt before he throws it back to the pitcher. And that always helped that pitching staff from the Yankees.
Ryan Spilborg.
The other day I was reading something. I mean, I found it very interesting. I think the average amount of pitches that a baseball is in play, I think it's like 5 or 6, which I thought was incredible. So I guess maybe that's why they don't really change it right away, because eventually a few pitches later it's going to end up getting replaced.
Hopper has no swing. Hopper thought he had a strikeout. Spilborg's is still alive.
I think that one of the things that's going on tonight, Raul, is that we haven't been able to hit.
No, unfortunately. He's doing a great job, Francis, of mixing up those pitches.
No question.
There's a liner to right.
Right.
Stanton is over.
2 hits aquí en esta entrada y 2 hombres ahora en las esquinas.
All right, guys. Thanks.
No problem. Have a good game, guys.
And
Let's see if we can get some runs on the board.
We apologize to your Spanish listeners that we're unable to speak coherent Spanish.
Yes, you do. You understand very well, and you speak it very well. Nice going.
Lo siento.
That's good enough right there.
There you go. Thanks, guys. All right, Spilborg's looked like he didn't go around on that check swing. But
again, that's one that goes either way.
And it ends up in right field, a base hit. So Hopper faces Chris Iannetta. You know, Iannetta's name is up in trade rumors as well. And I think any team like the Marlins that's under 500 or worse, anybody on that team's name ends up in trade rumors. Like the whole Diamondbacks roster has been involved in trade rumors. When we went through there was questions about, wow, do you clean house and deal Upton? Do you deal Reynolds? Chacin in the bullpen. And then it takes outside. It's 1-2. Kansas City Royals, another good example. Just about every guy they've got, except maybe Zach Greinke, is, will the Royals trade this guy? Will the Yankees need this guy?
You're right. You're a second division club, a club that's under 500, and according to things you read, everybody's getting traded. But it doesn't happen that often. There usually aren't as many trades as everybody thinks.
That pitch hits Iannetta. So the bags are loaded now for Eldred. And as usual, on the night of the trading deadline, we're going to be on the West Coast, right? Where will we be? San Diego? We will be in...
Yeah, 31st.
San
31st
Diego.
is a Saturday.
San Diego, which...
Saturday night.
Which translated means...
San Diego.
Trading deadline. German for trading deadline. And we will have our annual phone call.
I'm just thinking fish tacos.
Well, we will have our annual call from Ken Rosenthal at the end of all of it. Ken, of course,
break it down.
Multi-talented. By then, he has both thumbs tightly wrapped in ice because he's been texting.
He has wrist wraps.
Messaging all day. But he's always an entertaining chat at the end of the day of the trading deadline. High chopper, Ugla behind the bag to get it. Flips to Hanley. Not in time. Runner is safe. Run scores. And it's 9-0.
Well, it'll be an infield base hit for Brad Eldred. Really no place for Dan Ugla to go except second. And because it was such a high chopper, pretty good speed from Iannetta. He got a nice jump, and he stayed on the bag.
And Brad Eldred has himself an RBI single. 9-0, and now the Hopper has to face Ian Stewart.
Remember, all of this has happened since that check swing call went the Rockies' way.
That pitch missed someplace, and it's 1-0. 9 runs, 9 hits for the Rockies. Marlins without a run, 3 hits, and an error. Spilborghs, Iannetta, and Eldred.
Bases full as Rich scrolls through the emails.
And it's 10-0. So the Rockies make it 10-0. Spilborghs comes across on a bases loaded walk by Badenhop. Here's Clint Barmas. Brian in Miami. I am the angry emailer. Every time I send an email, I never get a reply. Do you think Emilio Bonifacio can be an everyday player, and how soon? That's from Brian in Miami.
Personally, I still think he's a good role player. Unless, and I think if he's going to be an everyday player, it would be at second base, and it would be if he's somehow able, and this has been a struggle for him wherever he's gone, to bring that on-base percentage up.
I agree with you. To be an everyday player, Bonifacio has to be able to get on base consistently, and it's not necessarily just learning how to bunt. It's not necessarily just learning to drive the ball and get some hits, but it's also being able to take walks, and that's something he's not been able to do at the big league level with any consistency.
Is he an exciting player? Absolutely. He gives you little glimpses of it, but he hasn't, when he has had opportunities, been able to sustain it for a long period of time.
Why so angry, Brian?
That didn't sound like an angry email, though.
I think he's angry because he has never gotten a reply.
Well, now he's not angry. Thus taking away the angry email tag.
2-2. Ground ball third. Helms has it and races to the bag in time. The hopper endures the 7th. Gives up 2 more. Oh, the 10-run reel. That's the scary Mr. Red. Look into the eyes of darkness. That's a run, Mora doubles, 3 runs come in, and just to make it hurt even more, Chris Iannetta with an RBI double down the right field line.
You had to show all that, didn't you, Rich?
Oh, well, how about Melvin Mora with a 2-run homer? We're contractually obligated. It's our Land Rover game summary. There's Melvin Moore feeling pretty good. Now he can put food on the table for his 6 kids. Of course, he had quintuplets when he was a Baltimore Oriole.
Yeah, he got 6 in a hurry.
It was a multi-player deal. Here's Hanley. All right, Tommy. It's the 10-run reel time, and so the crack staff is assembling goofy footage and stuff that we've acquired. Anything you want to see? Any requests that you have?
Well, I'm not sure what is all on the reel. And, you know, to be quite honest, our crack staff is has such status that everything they put out there is.
Have you seen, as you see Brian Sanchez in the bullpen, have you seen the video of the flying luchadores? Yeah, here's the 2-1. Hanley, a hard smash to Ian Stewart, who throws across.
You know, I have not. I know it was quite an event.
Yeah, well, it was, of course, the Flute Tag. Red Bull was a big sponsor of ours. There they go, the flying luchadores. And, of course, the rest of the wrestlers. The funny thing is, once they dove into the water, they continued to wrestle. Here's Ugla. It's a high fly ball to the left. Moore is going to have to come towards the line and make the catch. And there are 2 outs.
You know, I like the liftoff. There was some good push.
Great distance.
Great distance. And I believe... And I believe the
Flying Luchadores?
Flying Luchadores finished 5th amongst 35.
Here's Cantu.
So that's quite an accomplishment. Something to be real proud of.
Well, wait till Lemeziga hears this. He'll be thrilled. Cantu was quite proud as well. Jorge pulls that one foul. Cantu has a base hit.
I think they should have just been the Flying Amezigas.
0-2 coming. It's in the dirt.
Well,
here's a good email for this.
Go ahead.
Even though this game is
more important than what I was going to say.
Yes, it is. Shane in Skylake wants to know, what's the biggest comeback in Marlins history? The biggest comeback in Marlins history. The crack staff is going to have to pull itself out of the 10-run reel canisters and look that up. Cantu swings and misses.
And Jeff Francis didn't even know it was the final out.
Neither the rest of the team. No one was running off the field. 10-0 Rockies.
Always one of my favorites.
Sneaking up on the rosin bag, and the rosin bag grenade.
And right in front of the umpire, a great toss. And then a wave to the fans and to the umpire.
I like the fact
later.
that the clubhouse guy came out to greet him and opened the door as if on cue.
A typical minor league park where the clubhouse is in the outfield. Too.
Yeah, that's right. Seth Smith comes up and hits one real far off of Brian Sanchez. Cody Ross is there. He makes the catch. We check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Hey, talk some baseball here, but we're talking about home records because the Marlins really, if they're going to get back into this race, no question they're going to have to play better, like they have in this homestand until tonight at home. Because if you look at the numbers, the Marlins actually have only the sixth best, or sixth worst, I should say, home record in the National League. And the other teams on the list, they're combined 86 games under 500. The bottom five there at home. Marlins have played decent on the road, a couple of games under 500. You take that. But if you're going to be in the mix, guys, you got to take advantage of playing well at home. And so far, the Marlins have not been able to do that. Historically, they played very well in this ballpark.
It was interesting hearing the Craig and Tommy, hearing the comments from Ubaldo Jimenez talking about pitching in this park last night, and he said he was gassed after 3 innings. He said, I don't want to use this as an excuse, but pitching in this heat, I don't know how guys do it.
Well, I think it's a tribute to the Marlins training staff, getting their pitchers prepared and also being used to it a little bit more as far as the Marlins pitchers are.
You know, the Rockies, one of the reasons Jim Tracy went with this lineup is because a lefty was pitching, but another reason why is he wanted to give some regulars the night off. Even though Jason Giambi and Miguel Olivo had huge numbers against Nate Robertson, they didn't start this game. And the reason was the Rockies are on this road trip going through what they call the heat belt. And that's Atlanta, Florida, and then up to Philadelphia. And they said, you know, when you go through the heat belt, you want to give guys days off. And I thought to myself, well, welcome to our world.
Yeah, we're in the heat belt, 81 games.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that the Marlins need to do, and they're in a rough stretch as far as playing the West. A loss tonight, the Marlins will be 10-16 against the National League West. And some tough series coming up on the road trip in San Francisco and San Diego against that Western Division.
You know, the other thing the Rockies are going to be up against, on Thursday they face Josh Johnson. On Friday they face Roy Halladay.
Yeah, and they face Josh Johnson in a day game. So there's a few ways to look at the comment made by Jim Tracy. Thursday will definitely be the heat belt. You'll see some heat from JJ.
One and two to Jonathan Herrera. And down he goes. Tommy, would you like to play catch on the field with Cody Ross? Visit any participating South Florida Jiffy Lube and register for the Play Catch with Cody sweepstakes. You can win 1 year of free oil changes, plus the chance to play catch with Cody Ross and more. Visit Jiffy Lube for details. Jiffy Lube, the official oil change of the Marlins.
That's a great opportunity and a great guy to play catch with.
And if you play the role of the cutoff man, chances are he will hit you.
Boy, Melvin Mora, quite a night, made a perfect throw to get Wes Helms on a play that Wes Helms will say, why did I try to stretch that into two? And He has 3 hits. He has 5 RBIs. Melvin Morris' career high in RBIs is 6.
Fowler's at first. Ball in the dirt. Hayes will pick it up on a wild pitch from Sanchez. On a short start. Actually, not a short start. Robertson ended up pitching through 5, and the Marlins had to go into their bullpen. I guess you call 5 innings a short start, but it seemed like it was going to be an awful lot shorter when the Rockies were scoring all those runs in the 3rd. 5 innings for Robertson. He gave up 7 earned runs, 8 total. Burke Badenhop threw 40 pitches in 2 innings. And Brian Sanchez is working here. Sanchez steps off. Rockies and Marlins tomorrow night. Ricky Nolasco. He'll get the ball for the Fish. Towards the line, Stanton is over. Jason Hamill will be starting for the Rockies. 10-0. Hair. Now, Craig,
yes,
the Philly Fanatic currently is being sued by a 75-year-old woman.
Really?
Yeah, so you might have, I mean, call 1-800-INJURY now or whatever the number is.
Our pal David Singer maybe can handle that.
Yeah, there's a woman that
Take
claims
some notes on that. What do you got?
That claims during a 2008 Reddings-Phillies game in which the Fanatic was making an appearance.
Yes.
He climbed into the stands and onto her legs, injuring her knees.
Ooh.
Cody Ross takes inside. Now, the woman's attorney said he expects the Fanatic to come to a deposition, stick his stomach and his tongue out, and not say anything. And also claims that the incident set off the arthritic process in his client.
You're serious, too, right here?
Yeah, I'm reading it right off.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's on the internet. It has to be.
That would never happen to Mr. Met.
I had to get a haircut after I did that show, so maybe there's something there.
They are seeking $50,000 in damages from the Fanatic. And now they're saying that the attorney says his client needs knee replacements because of the Fanatic's frivolity.
Boy, that's rough. The Fanatic is always one of our favorites, next to Billy the Marlin and Mr. Met. What'd you say, Tommy, about Mr. Met?
That would never happen to Mr. Met. He
No.
would never find himself in court.
I don't think so.
Not even with Mrs. Met.
No, they've been getting along. They patched things up.
That's nice. Three-one to Cody. It's popped up. And Eldred watches that one land in the seats.
Got a few changes for the Rockies in this inning. Seth Smith comes in to play left field. Melvin Mora, though, still in the game. He goes to play second base, sending Jonathan Herrera to shortstop.
Give Barmas a few innings off. Cody Ross strikes out. An 0 for 3 night.
And Yolis Chassin gets his first strikeout, basically his first hit.
Our Toyota trend moving forward. We told you last night it's been neck and neck between these two expansion brethren. And the all-time series is tied at 74 and 74.
I think another common theme that we've talked about in watching the Marlins all year, and I'm sure our fans get frustrated with this as well, is inconsistency. They can have some good at-bats. They can have a good game or two. They can play some solid defense. Then they can just kind of zone out and have a bad inning defensively. And that's one of the reasons they haven't been able to put together a 7, 8, 9 game winning streak.
Stanton swings and misses. And he'll be thrown out at first base. Of course, Mike Stanton had a big night last night. Dan Uglar, Geico quote, "The guy continues to impress me. He hits the ball like I've never seen anybody hit the ball before." Stanton, a 3-hit night last night, including a 3-run homer.
Hey, we haven't talked about Chris Coghlan, and the reports were very good on Cogs today. He took batting practice. Would have been ready to pinch hit if needed. Probably would not see him in a game like this. And I would imagine we could see him tomorrow night or at least Thursday.
Brian Peterson getting in at bat here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. This is the pitcher spot in the lineup now, the 8th spot.
Yeah, so Peterson batting for Sanchez.
Yolis Chassin on the mound.
And Jan Marinez. It's a broadcaster's delight. Beautiful names.
Chassin has a pretty nasty breaking ball that just misses. This one for Tommy from Ian in Orlando. When you're down by 10 runs, what kind of approach do you take when you go up to the plate?
Not the kind of approaches we saw this inning. And we'll get back to that.
Well, strikeout, 10-run reel. The Cody bobblehead blast off.
to pick up your first major league win when you've given up a big home run. But you know what? A win's a win, and he'll always remember it.
Mariñez misses high. Ryan Spilborghs leads it off.
To get back to that question, that last question about the kind of at-bats in a game like this, this is a game when it's this late in the game, 10-0, you really have to take an individual approach. And it's hard to concentrate in a game like this, but you have to focus even more. And you have to at times be a little selfish in an at-bat like this and think of it just personally. But that might get you to concentrate a little bit more. You can't. The best hitters will always tell you they don't give away at bats, and these are the toughest times.
On the flip side, you always hear about whenever a closer comes in and it's not a save situation, how it's hard for that guy to pitch when there's not a game on the line. I would expect as a hitter as well.
Yeah, I think it's a little different for a closer because a lot of closers work off that tremendous adrenaline, and it's hard to have the adrenaline in a blowout game.
Two and two. Also, largest comeback by the Marlins, down 7 at Boston back in 03. And I believe last year, weren't the Marlins down 7 in Arizona?
Yeah, right before the All-Star break.
They were down 7 and ended up winning by 7. That was an earlier email question. JM Lexus, our leaders of the game. Runs scored. The Rockies have scored a ton. And the Cincinnati Reds, who are just ahead of them in the wild card, have scored the most. And the Reds continue to play well tonight. They're beating Washington for the second night in a row, thanks to Joey Votto and his 23rd homer. 5-1 Cincinnati. That game is delayed in the bottom of the 5th. That's in Cincinnati, so if it looks like from the box score, if the game ends, it's an official game. Oh, you know what, Tommy? Tomorrow night we have this is left over from the fantasy auction. Some folks were kind enough to donate another trip to Washington, D.C. So tomorrow night we are going to auction off another trip to D.C.
Yeah, you can see the Marlins, the Nationals, the Racing Presidents.
3 games. You get 2 nights at the Mayflower Hotel.
And a tour.
And a tour with Craig.
And you get a sesame seed bath from one of the Marlins.
That's nice.
Or a shower.
But that's 3 games in the new ballpark in Washington.
That's a great trip.
We can't guarantee the Elliott Spitzer suite, but we can come close.
The world famous Mayflower Hotel.
I'd like to go to the museum. We read about it last year. It's communications, I guess, museum they put in there. News. And one of our fans would like to go there with us. Sounds exciting.
Craig, are you leading some of those tours?
I would like to, yes.
That'd be kind of neat.
I think that would be fun. We could do a little piece on it. We'll run it on Marlins Live.
Well, it's a great place to go. Not only are you staying right downtown, close to the White House, close to the mall with all the monuments and memorials.
Yeah, we're about, 4 or 5 blocks from the White House.
And that's in September. Okay. Last night, walk-off, and Donnie Murphy got pied. And we figured we'd give you the best of pies.
They got Uncle Wes.
Now, see, that's pie with popcorn and Gatorade. Oh. This is Craig getting pied.
Donnie Murphy.
You know what, Tommy? And who doesn't like pie?
If it were real banana cream pie, now that would be something. Or key lime pie, always one of my favorites.
Donnie Murphy last night said, hey, that's my pie. Brad Eldred fouls that pitch off.
Now, haven't you become a fan of key lime pie now that you're here in South Florida for so many years?
Key lime pie was a staple in Northern California when I was growing up. But yeah, to be closer to the source is even better. In fact, there's a place in Coral Springs. Go to Doris's Italian Market, and you can buy the frozen key lime pies. Always a good dessert choice.
Oh yeah,
for the kids.
If you're a guest and you want to take a dessert, always a good choice. Those are some of our tips for tonight.
Tommy's tips.
Take a key lime pie.
Candlesticks are nice, but take a key lime pie. Mariñez with a heater, and Eldred couldn't catch up to it. Mariñez has his first out. Well, this is the ninth inning.
Well, he came in and did a no-no. He walked the first two hitters in a 10-0 ball game, but came back nicely to get the strikeout. Biggest loss of the season for the Marlins this year was an 8-0 loss against the White Sox in Chicago.
So this is the first time the Marlins have been on the wrong side of the 10-run reel. Ian Stewart. Ball and a strike. Line to the left, Bonifacio is there. Both runners will have to head back. Check in on some other games. The Braves lead the Padres 4-1. That's bottom of the seventh. Lou Piniella announcing he would be retiring at the end of the year. The Cubs have gone out and are trailing 6-1 against Houston in the bottom of the fourth. St. Louis 3-0 over Philadelphia in the fifth. The Mets are in Arizona. They lost last night. Mark Reynolds had a big night last night. The Giants and Dodgers with one of the best pitching matchups of the night. Tim Lincecum, Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, it's a nice matchup in Los Angeles.
Brad Hopp at the plate. Deep fly ball. Bonifacio is there and he makes the catch. Bottom of the ninth coming up. Marlins need 10. Fun with Expo.
Yeah, before the play even occurred, I knew, Reyes, it's a big run for him, go-ahead run. And Hanley, pero ven acá, muchacho. Come on, muchacho, or whatever that is.
Yes, now I got you two knuckleheads.
Yeah, I just knew. Right, definitely, before.
See, if Messiga didn't just mess around in the dugout, in the clubhouse, he was even worse.
Just trying to make Craig's job a little harder. As is this game.
Oh. Randy Flores is up. So come on down, Randy Flores. You're the next pitcher in this ball game, and here comes the conquering hero. It's Donnie Murphy, or as they call him in Denver, or called him in Denver last night, Donnie Bleepin' Murphy, and he drills that one to left field. It's just foul.
How about that? Well, it's one thing, he had 12 home runs in AAA, and when Brian Barden was here, did a great job defensively, but offensively wasn't giving the club what they wanted. And so Edwin Rodriguez, who had seen Donnie Murphy, wanted a little more offense, and so he was called up, and he certainly came through last night.
Flores high and tight. Is that a message pitch to Donnie Murphy?
Well, it's pretty stupid if you're throwing a message pitch in a 10-0 game.
Murphy fouls it off. I would agree.
You also want to say, hey, you were the guy who threw it.
Houston Street said it was a good pitch, and it was. Flores misses inside, and it's 2-2. Goes down. Our South Florida Ford spotlight is on Melvin Moore tonight. Moore, the likable former infielder. Now he does a little bit of everything for the Colorado Rockies. Hard to say that one guy was the difference in a 10-0 game, but man, he had a big night. Drove in 5, had the big hit that cracked open the 3rd, and his 2-run homer finished off Nate Robertson in the 5th. Bonifacio rolls it up the middle. Herrera throws him out. And the Rockies, listen, the other thing that just is really odd, the Marlins and the Rockies have been involved in some shutouts lately. The Marlins, of course, have been on both ends of shutouts. In fact, in the Washington series, every game was a shutout. The Marlins lost the first one to Strasburg and then won via 2 shutouts. And their last win before the All-Star break was a shutout as well.
Yeah, this will be the 5th time the Marlins are shut out if they don't get a 2-out run here. Now, Wes is the kind of guy, he's such a veteran that He's going to have that big league at bat here. He's not going to give it away. He knows an opportunity here could help him in the next game or two have a good pinch hit appearance.
All right, baseball etiquette here, or baseball sense. Do you ever have a green light on a 3-0 pitch when you're down 10-0?
No.
Yeah, West is old school, so you're right.
Yeah.
Helms works a walk. West 1 for 3 tonight. And so Hanley comes up. Hanley is 0 for 3.
And the other side of this Cambridge, the Marlins have just 3 singles tonight.
Marlins get a right-hander, Jason Hamill, tomorrow night. And then the lefty, Jorge De La Rosa, on Thursday.
Hey, the thing about tomorrow night, Ricky Nolasco goes, Ricky is 4-0 with a nice 2.27 ERA in his career against the Rockies.
It's an interesting number because the Rockies have so many good left-handed bats.
And if I remember, a couple of those good games were pitched at Coors Field, too.
Netta wants a changeup, and he gets a good breaking ball. Hanley strikes out, and the Marlins' night is over. The Rockies impressively bounced back from a gut-wrenching loss last night with a 10-0 waxing of the Fish tonight. Marlins Live is coming up, 10-0. The Rockies win it.